EasyGraphix. It is a graphical solution that handles maps, logs, and Seismic. It handles vector files and raster files. If you can see here in the middle, that's here where you see EasyCopy, EasyGraphix. And on the left side, you see all your geo applications. You see Petrel, you see TechLog, Kingdom, Landmark, Petrusys, whatever geo application you're using. And then all the way to the right, you always need to present it, to document it, to write reports, to manuals, montages, and all that stuff. And in between that, that's where EasyCopy, EasyGraphix comes in very handy. For viewing the files, CGM, EMF, PDF files, for making screen captures of your geo applications, creating montages like big poster session or montages for a presentation. Also printing and plotting, I don't know if you do that, but if you want to print something large, a big log file, fanfold log file that you need to really show the full log file, you can do that in the EasyGraphix. And you can also edit EMF, CGM, and PDF file. So you can get into all the small notes and elements in these vector files. So that was the overview of EasyGraphix. Part of this presentation here is used, but it is in EasyGraphix. So this guy who made this, he took a Google Earth map, and then he started to drawing some annotation on it. There are no limitation in file sizes, neither pixel nor metric sizes. So any size can you bring in here. That also goes with the thin section images that are maybe Carl Zeiss images that are thousands of pixels. You can deal with that in EasyGraphix. Another example here, annotation. If you see these unconformity line styles and oil well symbols. So let me just try to show you also in here. You have the Petrel symbols that you can bring in. Make them smaller if you wanted that, of course. Or you could draw a symbol that you can put into EasyGraphix. So now I'm just drawing a symbol. Let's make a thing like this. Not yellow, no fill. We like to have it green line, thicker line. So let's just say this plus a thing like this, also thicker. So just to give you an example, now I have drawn a symbol. I select the two, I right click, I say either copy, or if I want to save it in here, I say save as symbol, and I get my symbol in here. This is a strange one, so I just write test A, just to be sure that I don't have it. So now my symbols are, so now instead I will try to say just copy. Now it did. I go into EasyCore. I say import from clipboard, and I have my new symbol. I tell it, and now it's in EasyCore. So that was one of the connection that you could have between EasyGraphix and EasyCore if there was one missing a symbol that you needed. Back to EasyGraphix. You can unlock and you can log objects. So right now, all these unconformity lines are unlocked. So if I unlock all here, you can see here, especially if I zoom in, you can see here that this is my unconformity line that I can now change if that was what I wanted. So it's just an attribute you have. And if I right click, you have these options to make amplitude and period. If I'm doing it right, yeah. You can see here. So depending on where you want these small boxes, or do it, I just undo it here. So the list is up here. You can see 4 lines. You can see this, I don't even know what they are called, these triangles, unconformity line styles that you have here. And this is also very time saving, because in a graphical solution that is not meant for geoscience, you would have to draw the zigzag or the wavy curves one by one.
I have to admit, in Corel Draw, drawing an unconformity is the hardest thing.
It is. So here it is. Now I changed, as you could see before. I'm not sure exactly about this period and amplitude here. You can see here, depending on how it should look, you can change it to match. It was more beautiful before. So I should have taken a note about how the setting was, and you can see here it's 3-point amplitude and 11 at the period. But it is like drawing 3 and 11, I remember that. So it is like drawing a line, change it to unconformity, and then you have it. So that is basically a line drawing with different attributes. That is what you can do. And of course, as this was locked in the beginning, because I didn't want to move things that I want to be locked. For instance, it could be the base layer, the base map that you don't want to move, even though you are moving some symbols or moving some unconformity lines, that you can always right click and say lock selection. So now I cannot by accident remove that. That is normal features in drawing applications that you can do that. Also work with layers and so on. And in this case here, you could always say, what I could make a new one, saying new layer, saying unconformity. Call it this, and then I would select this unconformity line and say I want to put it into this layer. So if I say I don't want to see this layer, I don't see my unconformity line. So if you're used to work with layers in CorelDRAW and Illustrator, you can do it the same here in EasyGraphix. And if you save your work as a PDF, you would have the layers with you there. So you have this little eye that you have in Adobe Illustrator, in Adobe Acrobat Reader, so that you can see what layers do you want to see. So that was a little about the layers. Here's another example, the Google Earth map. All these lines and small call-outs that is made. And you can see when I zoom in, this is the Google Earth map. So I have no limitation in zooming in to details. Even you can see here, I can go so far. There are no limitations. Now I'm just zooming out with control zoom. Control wheel to get that. So add text like here. I can write hello. Didn't even get the H, but hello is here. And you can, of course, change that or remove the like whatever you want. So that was a little about the callouts.
Oh,
I don't know.
Great. This will be awesome for labeling like fossils, trace fossils. It's awesome. I know
Yes.
it manually, and it's also very tedious. Good.
Mm. So that is, I would suggest that if you're working with a lot of labeling, don't make layers interfere with that, because then you really have to know what layer and not have a layer on top that so it's showing it behind. But I have such a presentation here where I show everything from layers to working with Seismic to ungrouping, so it can get a little mixed here. Is any one of you working with Seismic?
Yep, there are some.
Okay, so this is another example. This is not a 3D model. This is just a drawing, a flat drawing that has been drawn, so it looks 3D like. So if you zoom in, you also have the zoom tool out here. If you zoom in here on this file, this is real Seismic. I can zoom in again, and you can see it. It's real Seismic because it would keep on having the seismic curves. So if you're working in Petrel and are saving a seismic out as a file, make sure that you have enough pixels with you, so you can also see details in it. I right click to get out again so you can see the details. Here, you can see here that I have a little piece of a little drawing that indicates that. I want to show you that because I want to show you as a fill of carbonate of limestone in this. So I want to show you vector patterns here that you can fill. And these are all from EasyCore Lith limestone. Okay. You get them in here. And what you want to here to give the 3D effect is to use some shearing. So I'll just move it back here so we can see it here. So I right click. And now I'm not totally sure which way. But can you see what happens here if I can? I think it's actually 30. So minus 30 would be more right. So I can just put 13. So what happens here is that all the vertical lines are still vertical, but you're sharing the brick pattern. So it gives you the feeling of a 3D effect. So that is one of the geoscientific graphical solution that you can have. Here is another example where there is a fill. You can see here, it's just a fill that is put on top of this this drawing, and this is filled with a sandstone, a semi-transparent. So if I right click on this, you can see here there's transparency. You see that is actually what it is, but when I make it semi-transparent, I can look through and actually see my map. So having these fill inside, fill between, so that you can make, for instance, if I select these two lines here, I can always see, have I selected two? And down here in the left corner, you can see I have two selected. So there's fill between. It could be gradient fill, like this. It could be rotated, so you would have darker at the bottom or lighter at the bottom, like here. And you can have transparency as well, like this. So you can easily make the layers and the interpretation of your seismic, even though it wasn't done in Petrel. You can still do it here and make these description, and of course have several layers, different colors depending on what you want to show. The same you can actually do. You see here another seismic piece where you have a fault line, and a nonconformity line, another fault line here. And if I then now try to draw a line like here, like here. And what I do now is that I want to select the fault line, the nonconformity line, and the other fault line. And now I have 4 selected. That's what I expect. And then I could say that I want a fill between. I wanted to have it like semi-transparent, and that way you can produce interpretation of it. So basically any line or any line with attribute, you can fill it. So if I made another one, I could of course do the same by selecting, let's say, here. Now I'm just drawing some here, 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 and here. So I will select again the same 4 lines. I would now select, I would select the fault line, I would select this line, and that fault line, and say fill between. I hope it will work, and I can then make it another color, make it semi-transparent, and that way you can build up several layers as long as you select from 2 lines. And as you can see, it could be 4 lines as I did here. I just wanted to make sure that I will get all the way following my 4 lines. So that's why I also chose them. So that was like adding fill between. And that is that little insert thing up here in the insert tab. Then there's another option here. This is a map. If I right click and say image information, you can see it's an EMF file. So it's a vector file. There's 1 page, everything is good. But what I want to do here is that I would like to, I select the file and I go to edit vector. So I want now to edit the vector file. This could be a PDF, EMF, CGM file. I edit it to fully ungroup it. And if you now see here, the entire page here is only having 10 objects. But that would change if I go to edit vector. There are some options here, how aggressive you want to merge. Normally, you just say, okay. It's just if you have any issues. So it starts ungrouping. And you can see the number of objects will change when it's finished to now 34,731 elements. So let me zoom in. So for instance, my contour lines. So, and I can see I have many contour lines. I don't want to select all of them like one by one. So right now, if I just right click on this one here, and I say select all similar, it will select all the files with the same thickness. So it will not take the thick one as now. But so if I want to make a map where I start with a base map without any detail, without any oil well symbols, without any curves or anything, you can build a map up with more and more and more detail. So instead of having multiple slides with here see first the base map and then next slide you see some more details, and so you can work with these layers in this way. So let me just zoom out again. It could also be that you did output would be like on a file or for the printer. It could also be that you wanted to log some of your layers. But in that way you can work with a map and simply have your audience concentrate on exactly what you want to talk about, and not say, oh, why do you also have a little oil well symbols here? What about that? I will come to it, and you can bring it up whenever you are ready to talk about it. So that was, again, a little about the layer, and of course, about the layered PDF. So let me see here. So if I take this file here, and I just say, I select it. Now I just want to select this part here, and I want to save. I think it should be fine, or I can just take it all and say File, Save and Send. That's here where you choose the format, where you choose PDF, where you choose TIFF, EMF, and so on, what you need. So if I choose PDF, and I say it's not all pages, I just want this page as a PDF file. And I have these layers. So if I say save, we can call it map.pdf. I don't think I have another one. It will save it. And if I then go to, so here you have it, then I just have to remember where I see my layers in, over here it is. Yes, so you can see here that you would have the same layers with you in the PDF file. This is also about ungrouping a file. And if you look closer into this file and I zoom in, you can actually see there are some wells here, but it's absolutely impossible to see the way the file was created for some reason. And also up here to see what it's like. The file was produced in a not so nice way, so the numbers here are like overlapping, and the square box is not really on top of the text, and so on. So I want to enhance the file. I will just zoom out again. So select the file, edit vector again, just click OK. So right now it's 3 objects on this page, and it starts ungrouping. And now it's 125, less than before. So I zoom in, I select my line here, right click and select all similar, because then I got there's actually 2 small pieces, and so I get it all. So instead of 0.28, I make it 3, for instance. And you can see now, if you wanted to use this in a presentation, now it's actually possible to see it. The same up here. Let me just remove this white box here. Remove this to the side. I could align them if I wanted to do that. And right here, I could just put I didn't select that. I just put the background. So now it's nice, and it's what I expect. I can use it for my presentation. So another thing you can do is you can also do select advanced. So you choose everything, all lines yellow, instead of lines that are a certain thickness. That goes up in select advanced, where you have all kind of symbols, polygons, lines, and so on. If you have a very complex file where you don't want to select so many, you can go in here and choose exactly what you need. There's cropping features that is quite nice also. So right now we have this selected here. So I don't want to use I want to use an ellipse here. That's nicer. So I want to focus on this area here. What I will need to do here, I have some options. You see, first I chose the shape, and then I choose the crop. So if I choose crop and keep, I will keep my original file and make a copy of the new area I have made. It could also be crop and extract. I choose that now. So what you can see here is now I'm actually making like a little hole in it. So in this case, I will be able to select this part here. It's easy to see that I'm actually selecting it. Make it semi-transparent. So now you are highlighting the area where you are, but you're still having the full file, but focus on a specific area of the file. And that shape could be any shape. the shape of Saudi Arabia, the shape of an apple, anything, any shape that you can draw or you can use. So that's, you can even now go in and say, well, I think I would like to replace the red one here with another color here, so that you highlight certain colors in the Seismic now, because you can select a specific color and replace it with another color. That also goes with the background of a log, for instance, that you can select it and replace it. In that case, I actually want to, when I talk about this, I just jump to this small little correlation example. And you can see that I have one log here that has a white background, and another log here where I have actually removed the background. So the only way I do to remove the background is that I right-click on the white background and replace it. All right. White background, click the white, replace it with transparent, and you can look through it. The way you do with the correlation now, I can just, I just inserted four log files here. And if I wanted to do a correlation, I would probably zoom a little in, and I would start drawing the lines like here. When I move to the edge, I can get to it here like this, and so on. Or I didn't need to zoom so much in so I could see what I was doing, like here. I'm just trying to show you here, like here. And I go out and I draw another. If I don't hold control, if I hold control, it's straight. If I don't, it will match. So here, and now you can see that I would be able to use what I showed before, the fill between, and instead of, before it was a raster pattern, but you can choose a vector pattern instead, and choose this sandstone, if I can see, it's up here. Okay, and you can of course order it, so that's better. But that is how you can make graphical correlation like this. And a very advanced example of this is a poster made from by a university in Milan, where you can see that each of these small quote description are saved as a PDF from EasyGraphix, imported or into this page, and then a correlation have been made between all these different. And you can see here, I have full zoom capability. I just zoom in here. That wasn't enough. I zoom in here. That wasn't enough. I can zoom in further. Like any depth, I can zoom in to the actual presentation. And that also goes in presenter mode. So imagine now you have been working on a one slide with all the information you have in it. So now I will go to presenter mode. And now I'm having this file still in presenter mode. I'm able to zoom in to see this specific image, zoom out again, then talk about what else you want to discuss. It could be that you wanted to show this map here. So then you're talking about this. So that's another way. Multiple pages, multiple slides, one page with all the files that you can imagine that you can use, or the layers. These are the three main options that you can use for your presentations. Then we have this option here. this is a 19-page PDF file. You can see I zoom in to the details in it. Zoom out again. So what I want to show you is that I right-click on this one and say I don't want it stitched, because right now it is stitched. So if I say don't stitch it, not sure I grab it. Yes, here. If I right-click on this file, you can see it's page 1 out of 19. And you can go to the next page and the next page and the next page and so on, page 5. And now you can see it. Often you like to have, instead of having 19 pages with margin gaps at the bottom, you like to have it as one long file. And that was actually what happened. So I right-click, I say stitch current PDF. I just do it without, I don't need to change it to, as normally it is the analyzing it. So you will get one long log file out of it. Now it's here. It has a little different size than before, but you can see there are no gaps now in this file. So everything is right. I will make a couple of undos because I want to show you that I have made like there was an example here so that you could actually see that I have taken, we don't need that, that this little part in here is what I have focused on. And I have even taken that part and ungrouped it, because that I can do even with such a big file here. I would be able, if I'm not, I would be able to click it and right-click it and say edit vector, the same way as we did with the Seismic before. Now it has been ungrouped, and you can see here that you can get to the entire curve here. So even though you have a PDF file, you can take this and actually get it to EasyCore in a nice way. So the only thing you need to make sure is what is the most, what is the minimum value, what is the maximum value, and what depth is the starting point and the ending point. And then you have produced data of something that you didn't have access to. The same with the sand fill. The sand fill, if I can select that. I'm not sure if I'm selecting, yeah, here. That is how the file was looking. So by selecting now, ungrouping the file and selecting this, you can add a sand show by a little helping line here. Just make a little helping line here. Yeah, so if I select the two of them and say fill, you would have a fill between that. I didn't select the top one, but to give you an idea how you can add a show, a sand show, or any other patterns that you would like to show on your actual log curve. Here, we also have a map measurement tool in EasyGraphix. If you have a map like this is just a, I right-click and see what it is. This is a CGM file. So it's a vector CGM file. So I can see some meter measurements, both on the X and on the Y, so that I have this. So I know that there are 2,000 meters between this cross here and this cross. So what I can do is that now I will tell EasyGraphix about these. So I will say from here to here, there is, oh, we want to have it in meters. There's actually 2,000 meters. So now I can use these 2,000 meters to measure anything. It's not taking, like you can't take the whole world because there are no georeference in it. But you have, we know that this is being used for unconventional well planning, where you have a smaller area and where you would set like a well every 500 meter in a grid, for instance, then you can use it. Or if you have a map I'm actually wondering how big is this rectangle? Then I could use the same measurement as I have there. So saying that I use this so I can see how many square meters this area is. It could also be the distance between two wells. What is actually the distance? And then you can produce some measured data based on such a map. That is another thing you can do. Let me see if there's anything that you are working on here can be saved as a PDF file, can be saved as a TIFF file. You can work on a single file without having multiple slides, just a single file, just open the file, and that will be your canvas. You can print and plot whatever you have in here, either by selection or by everything. And there is absolutely no, if you have ever worked with a 5 meter long poster with all this information in Acrobat Reader, it would be very slow to work on, and it would start like redrawing stuff and many other applications, including application that handles TIFF files, big TIFF log files, and so on. But you see, by scrolling, there's absolutely no lag in now I zoom in here and I take the zoom here. You can see here how I can move easily without any redrawing of it. So a very, very powerful tool for presentation purposes, for enhancing your files, to making files that are totally confidential, unconfidential. Instead of just putting a block on top, you can remove the confidential stuff to make sure that you are according to, for instance, what is allowed by Saudi Aramco if you're working with them, making sure that you're not sending any information out that you are not allowed to share with other parties.
Helene, what's the size of this file that you're presenting? Because it seems like
this file, we can I can right click on it. Just say I'll just select, right click, image info. This is this is 284 centimeters long, and you have here in file size and bytes. So you can always see how big it is.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Do you guys have any other questions? This was really a great and informative presentation. Thank you so much. And I'm sure as soon as we start applying it, we're going to have more questions.